So I couldn't get on. I don't know why. It just kept saying turn the phone orientation, and it wouldn't let me do it. So I do apologise. Right, let me see if I can now find it on the iPad. I think I'm live. Oh, let's just... I think YouTube seems to make it so complicated just to go live now. It used to be really easy. Right. I think I'm live. It's saying I am, but it isn't coming up. Let me have a bit of a fiddle on here. No, I don't know if it's saying. I'm just going to have a fiddle with the phone, sorry. Oh, it's saying that I've got a couple of watches. Let me put this back. Hopefully I don't press anything I shouldn't. Oh, I see a comment on the actual phone. I'm just trying to see if I can find it on the iPad. Alright, it's just not having it. Let me try again. Why isn't it doing it right? I'm going to restart the app on my iPad. I do apologise. What is that it? Oh, there I am. Found it. Oh, it's always a bit hair raising, so sorry if I'm a bit late. It was, I said, my phone was having a bit of a tantrum, and it just kept telling me to turn the phone orientation. I think maybe I had it a bit locked, and I then had to come out of it all, and oh, we will get there one day without such a faff, hopefully. Hi Mum. Yeah, he found you. Yeah, I'm glad you have, because I said I had a few issues. Hi Laura. It's saying we've got a few watchers at the moment. That's good. But yeah, hope you all had a nice Christmas and New Year. Hi, just found your live. Time to sit and relax. Oh, thank you for joining. As I said, I hope you had a nice Christmas and New Year. It's gone rather quickly, I think, but I have to say I'm quite... Well, it's been nice sort of spending time with everybody, but at the same time it's nice to get back in the craft room and have a bit of playtime. So yeah, yeah, I've been having a little play with some of the Sharon Bates stamps. I will show you which ones that I'm going to be using shortly. Oh, Mum says Happy New Year, Laura, and everyone. Yeah, Happy New Year. I don't know if I actually said that. I just said hope you all had a nice Christmas and New Year. But yeah, I think we're a few days in now, so I'm not saying it as much to people. But yeah, and hope you're all managing to stay warm. I don't know what it's been like where you all are, but it's been super cold here. We've had quite a lot of snow. It's actually just started to ease off because we had quite a bit of rain last night, so I'm hoping I'll be able to get the car out the drive a little bit later on, but we'll see. I'm a bit scared because it's still quite icy and I live on a bit of an incline, so yeah, we'll have to I'll have to see how bad it is. But yeah, so as I was saying, I've been having a bit of a fiddle with the Sharon Bates stamps here, and I'm also using some of the Stamperia. I do apologise if you can hear my dog whining in the background. She can't bear it when I come on a live. I do have the door slightly shut, but I've got a cable running through it at the moment, so you can sort of still hear her. Yeah, so I'll be using some of the Stamperia stamps today. So this is from the Silent Sea collection and the Furry Friends collection. And I'll also be using a bit of a mix to create this. So I'm going to be using the Gorgeous Cat. Can't remember, oh, he's called Bob the Cat. And then I'm going to be using the balloon from Colin and some of the words from Ralph stamp set, the How Old. I love that stamp. I think it's you know, it's just brilliant. It can go with so many stamps. What I think I love about these is that the whole collection of these, you know, you can mix and match different elements. I think it's great. So yeah, they can be used in so many different ways. And although this is kind of a Christmassy stamp, it has actually got some Christmas words on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see. Let me take that insert out. So on this little tag here, it does actually say Merry Christmas. I'm just going to grab a pot that's just about to fall off my desk. Just there we go. Sorry, it'll go crash and make a right racket, and all the pens will go everywhere if I didn't say that. Yeah, so on this little tag here, it does say Merry Christmas, and on the present here, it does say Christmas. But I managed to sort of erase that a little bit when I was stamping it, and I've actually written a little happy birthday in the label here. So I will show you how I've done that. I'm going to pop that insert back in, and let's pull this stamp out. I'm going to pop this to the side, and let's grab some card. It doesn't look like it's cut very straight, that one. So I've got some white card here, and I'm just going to pull the stamp off and pop it on my stamping block here. I'm going to at least make sure it's a little bit straight on there. Right, now I'm just going to grab a couple of things before I start inking it up, just so that I can erase that text. So all I did was basically wipe it with my cloth, but I did stick a pokey tool in it just so it's a bit more of a fine nib. You could probably mask it off with masking tape. I'm not going to bother doing that on this. You know, it's just a few words, and to be honest, once it's coloured in anyway, if you do have a little bit of ink on there, it you can't really notice it too much, as long as you don't get the embossing powder on it. Right, let's grab some scrap paper as well. And now I think there might be somebody at my door because the dog's now going mad. I do apologise. Right, so I'm just using a Versatile Clear Knot pen. Just to ink this up. And I'm going to turn the card to the side. I'm a bit of a side stamper. I find it a bit easier. And I'm just going to use my little stamping press. There is one of these on the web, or there was, I don't know if it still is. It was slightly different to this one, but they will still do the same thing. Oh, I do apologise, she's going absolutely balmy in there. So I'm just going to give that a nice press down. I think I'm working slightly off camera there, so I'm sorry about that. I will move. There we go. And I'm just going to give that a clean. Right, now what I'm going to do, I didn't take it off, the ink off, before I stamped it, did I? Right, I'm going to do that again, just because I think the dog distracted me and I just went straight in and stamped it. So I'm going to turn it over. I didn't show you how to get rid of the little the text. So let's try that again. I'm just inking it up. Right, let's try again. So I'm now just going to cover my the end of it, the tip of a pokey tool, and I'm just going to go in and remove that text off the tag. I'm sorry if I'm holding it at a slightly funny angle. And again, there's some text here on this present that says Christmas, so I'm just gonna rub that off. Just gonna go in. I think that pokey tool might be a bit small. Yeah, let's try this one. So I've got a slightly different size pokey tool here. I think that'll be a little bit better. There we go. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. So I've just taken off some of the text there. Now you might, as I said, get a sort of shadow of a text there, but I'm not too worried, because once you do sort of colour it in, or you know, you write over it, you don't really see it too much. I'm just going to press down really well now. Hopefully this one's stamped as well as the first one did, but just without that text. That's fine. You can see it is a little bit fading. You won't see it as bad. Right, I'm now just going to emboss this. So I've got some Wow Ultrafine clear embossing powder here. And what I am going to do is get a very fine dry brush. If I can pick it up. And I'm just going to rub that off of where that text is. It has actually shown through more than I'd like, but never mind. Let's just get rid of this powder. Right, I'm now just going to emboss this with the heat gun. So I always like to lift the card up off my work mat while I'm heat embossing. I just find it embosses a little bit quicker. Right, now let's trim him down a little bit. I'm just going to get my trimmer out. And I'm only going to take a little off of sides. We'll probably come and take a bit more off of that. I'm just cutting it down slightly so I don't waste quite so much card. Right, and I think maybe I'll take a tiny bit off the bottom. Right, I think we'll leave it about there. Right, I'm now going to watercolour. Well, I'm going to paint this in actually a few different mediums. Sorry, just dropped something. Because sometimes I find that, I don't know, I like seeing different sort of textures and things on cards, even when you're not, you know, you can kind of achieve that without adding loads of texture paste and all that by just using different mediums. Not necessarily textures, I think that's the wrong word. But like, I like still seeing a bit of shine on it, a bit of chalkiness, and yeah, just different effects basically. I think it sort of adds to the card. So I've got a tile here that I'm going to work off. I'm sorry, you can see all the shadows from the conservatory here. Now I'm going to use these light markers. What are they? Studio? I can't remember what they're called. These are on the website and I think they're on offer at the moment. I managed to get these at quite a bargain price. I keep dropping everything. Yeah, I can't remember what they are called. Are they Studio Light markers? I might have that wrong. I'm not sure where the box is for them, but I'm sure Laura will pop the link up in a moment. Yeah, I really like these. I haven't actually played with them too much, but I am going to on this card. So I'm just going to scribble a little bit on my tile. They are half price at the moment, so go and grab some. Yes, Studio Light, I did have it right. I should really write stuff down before I use it, but I'm not very good at that. So Studio Light markers, they are on offer. They're watercolor pens. They come in a pack of 12, I think it was. And I think there's 3 different sets on there at the moment. They are lovely markers. I'm just going to use a fine brush here, and I'm going to go in first, I think, with my, actually no, I am going to go the next size up brush, I think, so it is a slightly bigger area. So I'm just going to go in. What colour was that I was using? I can't even remember what colour I scribbled down. Fresh yellow. So I don't know why, but I always see this cat in like a gingery colour. I think he has a bit of an attitude. I know that. Look at his eyes. But I guess, you know, you can sort of colour in whatever colour you like, can't you? Actually, I will colour that in yellow there. Just got to make sure I don't darken that. So I've used the lighter tone there first, and then what I'm going to do is go in with the darker colour and just add some sort of shade in. I guess you could sort of add all different texture, like, you know, paint him like he's a tabby cat or something. I'm not going to do that on this. But, you know, the option's there, isn't it? You could sort of paint some streaks going across him. Is it a tabby cat? Is that what they're called? I'm not sure. I have to say, I'm not a great fan of cats. I always think, you know, when you see them out and about, they always make out like you're, you know, they're your friend. They definitely have some attitude, don't they, cats? They make out that you're their friend and, you know, fuss me, and then they sink their claws into you. So I never fully trust cats. But yeah, it's funny, if I see a dog out there, I'd happily go to that and give it a, you know, a nice fuss. Right, so he's now coloured in with those pens. I'm going to pop them to the side now, and I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to quickly dry that off, just because I don't really want the colours all merging into one. You know, I don't want them sort of running into each other here. And then I'm going to grab an ink pad. I think I'll go with Bundled Sage and go some Gathered Twigs, I think. Now, this is where I said I could use inks on the background, and, you know, you'd get a lovely effect with the inks. But, again, I want a bit more of a chalky background here, so I am going in with the oxides. I do quite like watercolouring with oxides. I think you get some lovely effects with them. So I'm just going to go in and sort of watercolour around the image. Ah, I know what I haven't done. I'm going to stop there. Dry that. I didn't stamp the balloon, did I? I said I think all that with the dog sort of distracted me a little bit. I think my son's been over and taken her over to my mum's, so it has gone very quiet. Right, I'm not sure if the balloon's now going to fit. Well, might just get away with it. What I might have to do, I'm going to stamp the string. What I might do is stamp that on a separate bit of card and cut it out. In which case we'll stamp it after, because it doesn't really matter then if I'm watercolouring it, does it, in the background. Yeah, I said I think all that with the dog barking and somebody at the door has put me off. Doesn't take a lot to distract me. But yeah, so it will be a little bit different to the other one, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going to stop about where the floor line is, because I'll colour that in a different colour, and I'll also add some wooden floorboard effect, I think, underneath that, just again to give it a bit of texture. I need a bit more water on that brush. Right there, I think we're just about done with that, and then I'm just going to add a tiny amount of brown. So this is gathered twigs. The first colour I used was bundled sage. I'm not sure if I said that or not. So I'm not really going to the edge when I colour this. I sort of like a bit of white around the edge. I mean, you can go to the edge if you prefer. I guess it all just comes down to preference on, you know, what you like really. Just going to dry that off now, because I'm going to stamp the balloon string. And I want that nice and dry really. I just realised I'm working off camera again, aren't I? Let me move it up. I do apologise. I've had a bit of a move around. It might even help if I move this way a little bit. And that's a bit better, I think, isn't it? And then I'm not leaning so far forward. I said I had a bit of a rearrange, and I've moved the clamp, my phone stand and stuff. So that's why it's probably a bit further back. Right, let's now grab that stamp. I'm going to grab another block. Now, I only really want to want the ink on a small part of this, so I'm going to grab some masking tape. You could actually just draw the string on, but I like the little bow and everything. So if you're not really confident in drawing and adding bits on, this is a great way of... Oh, sorry, I'm trying to find my masking tape. I did have it. Oh, it's right there. Look, it's right in front of me. I'm losing everything just lately. So I'm just going to pop some masking tape just over the area that I don't want it inked up. So this is what you could have done on the text on them presents, but because it was such a small area, I wasn't going to mess around, you know, with small piddly bits of masking tape. So I'm now just going to ink that up. And remove that tape. Try not to touch the inky areas, because otherwise you'll have an inky mark all over your project. And then I'm just going to roughly stamp it so that that's coming in between the present. I think it will be about there. So as you can see, the balloon is sort of coming off the page a little bit, but that's fine because I'm going to stamp it again on another piece of card and cut it out. There we go. Let me just stamp it on here. It doesn't really matter if I stamp any of the other part of the image, because it's going to be cut out. There we go. Right, let's bring my scrap paper back again. And now I'm just going to emboss that again. So it looks like, or it will look like, the balloon is tied to the present. Just get rid of this embossing powder before I spill it everywhere. Have a habit of doing that. And now I'm going to emboss the string on here. Like I said, you could draw it on, but if you're not too comfortable drawing it, then you know, you can just stamp it. Right, let's snip this balloon out. So really, it's quite a nice, quick and easy shape. You can cut out nice and easy. Just get rid of some of that card. There we go. Right, now I'm going to colour some of this in with some of the satin inks. So I'm just pulling some colours forward here. What else do I want? Maybe the teal. Oh, let's just bring them all forward. Now, if you haven't used these before, I do highly recommend them. I absolutely love using them. They can be used on various surfaces, glass, I believe. Oh, handcrafted by me afternoon. Thank you for joining. Yeah, so they can be used on like acetate, glass. I haven't actually tried it. No, I think I did try it on acetate actually, and it did work quite nicely. I haven't tried glass, but I believe some of the other design team members have done. But I quite like using them just on card. I think they're great. You know, you can get a really nice glossy finish on them. Sometimes I do paint with a couple of coats. It sort of depends what I'm doing. Right, I think maybe I might do him, no, because the balloon's going to be that colour, right? I might do a teal. No, it's an aqua green, this one. So I think I'll do his hat in a nice aqua green. Let's move that tile back out of the way. I seem to have my cord hanging down, I think, where I moved the thing. So I'm just popping that out the way. Right, and I'm just going to go in and start painting with these inks. I said I just absolutely love the finish that you get with these. You get a really nice sort of shine with them. I might actually do, what colour should I do? I might do his collar, this colour too. I do quite like this tone. So it's going to be slightly different to the one that I did as a trial. I said you can sort of do a couple of coats. I might come back and do a second coat on that. I'm not sure yet. I'll see how well it sort of paints. Let's do that balloon. and I will do the balloon purple. So this is actually, oh, it's violet, this one. I'm going to put that purple out of the way because I'll probably end up giving it a second coat in a different colour, knowing me. So I love painting balloons in these. I think it's just, you know, the finish that you get is just perfect for a balloon. I do like to give them a second coat though for a balloon, so it's a nice deep colour. Of course, what you can do, if you don't want to keep messing around with different coats, you could use an alcohol marker underneath it. I have done that before now. But yeah, I'm just going to let that dry for a little bit. Actually, let's paint some of these presents. Just go for a purple present here. And way too much there. Let's just spread that about a little bit. And let's get the fine brush and go in here and just colour them ribbons in. Right, I'm going to pop the lid back on that for the moment because I said I do have a habit of knocking things over. They have such a lovely finish to them, cross between gloss and satin. Yeah, it is really lovely. I absolutely love using them. Sorry, I just realised I'd missed a little bit there. I think maybe I've put a bit too much ink on there, that's what the problem was. So I've got some yellow here, and I'm going to open the yellow and the orange together. Let's pop that balloon slightly out of the way. And I'll go in first with the yellow on this present. And then I'm just going to dab my brush on a bit of kitchen roll and go in with some orange. Now the colour, I sort of want the colour to bleed in a little bit, just to blend it, just make sure it doesn't bleed, the purple doesn't bleed in from the previous, you know, from the other present. Let's have a look. Let's do this bit. What colour should we do that big present? I think maybe I'll do the, might do it blue. It's quite nice and bright, so I'm going to do some yellow ribbon here as well. Right, let's go for green, I think. Oh, look, that's started to run. I should have probably waited and dried that off a little. I'm just going to dab that to stop it from running so much. There we go, that should be okay now. We'll go for a blue, I think. Where's that blue? There it is. So this is just called blue, this one. think I just had a piece of foil flutter down from somewhere. I think it was stuck to my phone. I've been working with what is it? You know, the gilding flakes. And I'm still finding them everywhere, even though I've like hoovered and cleaned up several times. Right, I'm just going to move that about because that's quite dark, that bit. Right, I'm just going to lightly dry that off with the heat gun now, because there are some areas that I would like to give a second layer. Now, I'm not getting the heat gun too close. I am sort of holding it slightly to the side, because I don't want that to crack. I don't know if it will, but just in case. So I'm going to go in now with a second layer. Obviously you could leave it to dry naturally, but where I'm live, I want a nice vibrant colour. I want to show you sort of, you know, how nice and vibrant you can get them. Might leave the parcel as it is. The balloon I'm definitely going to give a second coat to, I think. So I'll get my nice big brush. Now, just when you clean your brushes, just make sure you clean them really well in just with water. So again, I might even give it a third coat. We'll see. I'll dry this one off really quick. Doesn't actually need a lot of drying. I mean, I'm not drying them fully, but just enough to sort of work with another coat. There we go. I think that will do. Now I'm going to dry that off again, just so that, you know, I can work with it. I've just realised I haven't painted his little bobble on his the top of his hat. So I've just dried it enough that I can sort of work with it and stick it down and everything. What colour shall I do his hat? Let's go with raspberry. I haven't used any raspberry on this yet, have I? This raspberry is actually such a gorgeous colour. I think the raspberry and what was that other colour? Aqua green probably has to be my favourite colours in this set. Right, there we go. I haven't got the lid on that properly. Definitely don't want an accident with that. Right, now I'm going to grab one of my pro markers and I'm just going to colour the tags in. I'm going to go for like a craft card type effect. There we go. Right, now what I'm going to do is, actually, I'm just gonna, is that dry enough? I'm just gonna give it a quick blast because I'm going to stamp over in the background of it now, and I don't really want, I'm going to lay some paper over it and I don't really want it sticking to the paper. So just give it a little blast. I think I might actually, because there's quite a blob on that bit there. So I'm just going to see if I can take it off, take a bit of it off. There we go. And then hopefully that should now dry under the heat gun. don't know if you can see the shine on that. If I hold it and tilt it, you can just about see the shine there. They are so lovely. Just putting that lid back on because I didn't do that properly. Right, so I'm going to grab some texture stamps now. So this is the this is from the Silent Sea collection, and I'm going to use that wood grain. I don't actually think I'm going to mount this. I'm just going to no, actually I will, just slightly. So I don't want, I've got embossing powder particles on my mat, so I don't really want to get them. Right, I'm just leaning over to grab an ink pad. Is that the one I want? That'll do. So I've got the VersaFine Claire Portobello here. Actually, I could have just used the oxide ink to stamp it, couldn't I? And I'm just going to stamp it over that. Now I'm going to quickly get some tissue. And just wipe that off. It hasn't actually, oh no, there was actually lines on that present anyway. I was thinking that it hasn't come off of the present, but it's fine. There was actually lines already on there. Right, now I'm going to grab this gorgeous circle. Actually, let me pop that back, because just popping some of the stamps back so that I can use the blocks. Actually, I don't think I used the block for this. I think I just went straight in. I think that's what I did. So I'm just going to hold this in my hand, ink it up with some bundled sage. And I'm going to try not to stamp over the cat, because the cat was actually watercoloured. So you will end up with marks over it. The only reason I went over that is because it was done with the satin inks and it's got a bit of a shine to it. So I was able to wipe it off quickly. So I'm just going to sort of stamp some of the design quite randomly in the background. I'm going to clean that off. Right, I'm now going to pop this to the side. I'm going to try not to lose that balloon. I'm trying to think where I can pop it. I've got a little pot to the side of me. I bet I will forget that I've put it there, because that's what I'm like. I'm just going to give that a bit of a wipe now. So I'm going to grab another piece of card. I should have really cut some up, shouldn't I, beforehand? But I'm now going to cut a piece to fit on a 7x7 card blank. So I already have all my measurements already marked out on my trimmer, just so it's nice and quick and easy. Right, so I'm going to grab some blending brushes. And I'm going to start with bundled sage, I think. Now, because obviously the image is going in the centre, you don't really need to go right into the middle of this. You can just sort of stick to around the edge. But if you do that, just make sure that you come in enough. What you could actually do is figure out roughly where it's going to go and grab a pencil and just draw sort of roughly around it. I'm not too worried about pencil marks showing through, because I will mount that onto a piece of black. So it just gives you an idea of, you know, where your work, what's going to be on show, basically. So as you can see, I'm not going to waste my time dragging all the ink into the centre here. So all the way around with bundled sage just to colour that edge in. We're nearly there now. Right, there we go. And I'm just going to darken the edges slightly now with the, what was that, gathered twigs. Bringing it all around the edge. I don't want to come in too much because I do want some of that green showing. It's just enough to sort of darken the edge slightly. Right, there we go. Pop that to the side. Now I'm going to grab this lovely circles one from the Furry Friends collection. Okay, I'm going to give that a bit of a clean because I've got some oxide ink on there and I don't really want that mixing with the with my green ink pad. So, sorry, I'm just stretching forward to grab my ink. So for this I'm using Shady Lane. Now I'm not going to bother stamping the whole stamp up because I don't need to come right into the centre. I'm just literally, you know, only coming in sort of halfway really of the stamp. And what you could do is alternate actually what side you use. So I've stamped the top end of this, so I'm now going to go in with the bottom, just so it doesn't look the same all the way around really. Now you can see I haven't made, you know, it hasn't taken much lining up. I've just sort of roughly matched it. And if they overlap slightly, I don't think it really matters. So, no, I might just do this bit here actually, and then carry on round. So again, I'm going to alternate the ends every time I stamp it, just so it looks different each time. Can't believe how dark it's already getting. Oh, I think I've just done that. Yeah, I can't believe how dark it's already getting. It feels really dark, but actually it seems to look okay, I think, on the screen. So I'll keep going. You know, with this at the minute, how it is without a light on. Ooh. That's luckily I don't have a double stamped image there. Just going to move that up actually. So you can see there, I think I've slightly overlapped it, but I think because it's quite a funky background, you know, it doesn't really matter too much if they do overlap. I love this stamp. I think as soon as I saw it, I had to have it. It's gorgeous. And if you're somebody that likes to create, you know, inky backgrounds and stuff, it's a great, it's one of those great things that you can really create a large background with and not have to worry too much about lining things up. So this one will overlap slightly, but again, I'm not too worried. There we go. Right, I'm just going to clean this off. I'm just going to clean my mat a bit as well, because I've made a right mess on that. And let's take some of that ink off my fingers as well, because otherwise I'm going to end up with inky finger marks where I don't want them. Right, now I've done that, what I'm actually going to use is, now Laura, this one hasn't actually got a label on it, so I'm not sure what it's called. I should have looked it up. It's one of like the micro sprays. It's called Frost. Perhaps you could let me know what it's actually called. But yeah, so it's one of the micro sprays. I've only got one of these, but I definitely want to get some more. I think they are lovely, such lovely sprays. I should have actually shown you at the beginning. All the mica is actually at the bottom of the bottle, so do make sure you give it a good, well, I say a shake. From what I've learned, I think you're not supposed to shake them up and down, because the little tube can get blocked. So I just tend to sort of shake them sort of side to side, a bit like this, just to get that mica moving. Now these are available in a variety of colours. I've only got the one colour. I thought I'd start off with quite a neutral colour that could probably be used on top of anything. So I've gone with a Frost. Like I said, I will get another colour. You know what, I think I am going to have to pop a light on, because it is actually, it's funny that it looks nice and light on the camera, but it is actually quite dark in here, and I'm actually struggling to see now. So is that too glary? Hopefully that's okay. Luster sprays. Oh no, out of stock at the moment. I do apologise. I wouldn't have used it if I'd have known that. But hopefully they'll be back in stock soon. But yeah, they're great sprays. And I said I went for a neutral colour, because then I thought that, you know, it didn't matter too much what colour I was using underneath. I could create sort of a colourful background, and it could sort of go on top of anything. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a spray now. So I'm now going to dry that off with the heat gun. Now I believe some people do say not to dry them with the heat gun, like mica sprays and things. But obviously where I'm doing the live here, I want it nice and dry fairly quickly so that I can carry on working with it. We'll have new stock soon. Oh, that's good. Said I do need to get some more colours. They're so pretty. And I should imagine they work lovely on black card. Haven't actually tried that. I should give that a try at some point. So I'm just trying to make sure that it's nice and dry, because I want to do some more stamping on top. I don't know if you can see actually, if I hold that up, where I've got that light on, you might be able to sort of see, if I keep trying to tilt it, you might be able to see that mica powder sort of showing through. But it's such a lovely creates such a lovely shimmer. Right, let me get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is just swap these over. Now I'm going to use this because I'm going for a how old stamp on this. This top stamp has actually got a few numbers and things on it. Plus I really quite like this little checkered texture. So I'm going to go with that. And just stamp that down. Now, when I stamp this, I don't want to come in too much. Just trying to see where my pencil lines are. Because obviously where your image is going to go, I'll show you on this one. This one I probably did come in a little bit too far. I was just playing about really on this one. So I'm going to try not to do that quite so much on this. Whether it'll turn out like that, who knows, but I suppose I'm not too worried if it does. So I'm going to start, I think, by inking the top. So I'm just applying. Now I'm not going to get it on that big 3. Right, I'm going to have to stand up, I think, while I'm stamping this top area. There we go. Actually, it probably helped I'd have turned it round. I'll perhaps do that. It'll be a bit easier, wouldn't it? And again, I'm just going to ink it up to sort of cover that. This end, I think I have come in about the same, but I'm not. I said I'm not too bothered. There you go. Right, now I'm going to come down the side. So I'm just trying to line it up a little bit at least with the lines on the stamp. I think I might have done that one a little bit wonky. Oh, only a tiny bit, but you don't really notice it, thankfully. And again, down here. Right, and again, I'm just going to stamp this top part. I'm only really using the top part and the left-hand side. I've got a bit of ink on that corner of the ink pad, which I'm just going to get rid of because I don't really want that. Let's go about there, I think. I've done it again. Got some ink on the top corner of that. I'll end up with an inky finger mark somewhere on this. Now for this edge, when I stamp it, obviously I'm going to try and just ink a small amount up, but if you find that you don't want to come in too far and you've inked too much, just sort of, I'm not going to lay the ink pad down fully, especially as I've got some ink over here. So I'm going to sort of, this is a flexi block, so I'm going to sort of try and hold it slightly raised in so this part of the stamp isn't really touching the card, if that makes sense. I don't know if you can actually see me, see how I'm doing it on the camera. There might be a bit of shadow now. I do apologise about that, but I said it was getting so dark. I'm rather looking forward to some lighter days and some warmer days. I don't cope very well in the cold weather, so. Right, there we go. So that's the background done. I'm just going to clean this off because otherwise I'll end up with ink on something. Right. I might start mounting, in which case I'm going to give this a bit more of a clean. I'm going to start mounting stuff onto black card. I've still got the sentiment to do yet, actually, haven't I? But yeah, if I start mounting it onto my card blank, I should have really pre-cut this a little bit before, shouldn't I? Never mind. So I'm just going to line this up and just cut it so that it just has a very thin border going all around the edge. Don't want it too thick as I do want it to fit onto the card blank. Hopefully that'll fit. Now what I'm going to do, oops, sorry about that, is I'm just going to grab my very messy glass mat. Now there's probably going to be lots of reflections on this, especially as I've now got a light on, and my craft knife if I can find it. Again, it's one of them things that I can't see. Just move my pot. I've probably taken it out recently and not put it back. That's the problem. Right, so I might not be able to do what I wanted to do. What I was hoping to do is actually gut this black card, but I can't see my craft knife, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. Sorry, I'm just having another look around. There it is. My desk is really rather messy. I think the problem is when I do these lives, you end up with like, you know, doing things in a hurry, and you kind of throw things down beside you and things do get lost. Now I've got a metal ruler here. So I'm just going to gut this because it's a bit wasteful really using, you know, having all that, using all that black. Don't get me wrong, I do often just stick it in, you know, stick it on top, especially if I'm in a hurry, but if you can, it does save on card a little bit. Plus, it also reduces the card's weight. Postage is quite expensive now, isn't it? So I might be able to run that. No. Didn't go through properly. I think I was only pressing so light. I don't usually like doing this as well because I'm a bit clumsy with a knife. There we go. So what you can actually do is use this piece that you've cut out for the actual card topper. Right, let's get rid of this. You don't need to see that messy mat anymore. And I'm going to grab my card blank and start sticking some of the bits down. So let's just make sure that does fit on. Hopefully it does. Yeah, with just a very fine white border. Right, let's work out what the top is on this. There we go. And my glue. Honestly, I'm just losing everything at the moment. Right, should have, no, that's not the glue. Oh, I will find it in a minute. It was sitting, I had my desk reasonably organised before I started, but I said, I think where I'm live, everything just gets thrown down. So this is the That's Crafty glue. I've put it in a little fine tip bottle. So I'm just going to stick that onto the black card now. I think that's about straight. And then I'm going to mount that onto my card blank. Yeah, I prefer to have the pop the glue into one of these little fine syringes, even for just gluing sort of larger areas like that. I sort of feel like you're not wasting quite so much glue then. Right, and let's create the mount for this. So I'm going to grab my trimmer out again. I'm just going to cut one in sort of straight and then start going in. I might have trouble focusing here. Now I tend not to, obviously you could use a little pen just to mark up your lines if you really wanted. I never seem to do that. I don't know why. I just usually go straight in with the trimmer, and you can sort of just about line it up, you know, to leave a nice gap. I always find that when you do pencil marks, I very often find they're not right anyway, so I tend to just use the trimmer, go straight in with the trimmer. Right, now you could gut that again if you wanted. I'm not going to. It's a bit of a smaller piece of card. So I'm just going to try and curl that the opposite way, because it was quite cold where I'd used the heat gun and everything on it. And I'm just sticking that down now on my black card. And we can now stick that into the center, can't we? I'm just going to hold it up so I can see if that's straight. I think that's about central. Now let's grab that balloon. It's in my pot, I remembered. And I'm going to stick that in place now. What you could do for the balloon is just grab a Sakura pen. They do work quite well on top of, well, they do when they're not running out anyway. I do need to top up my white Sakura. And just some little white lines on the balloon. And you could even add some white lines to sort of the presents and things. Right, now the sentiments, I'm going to grab some black card. I've got a perfect tiny little strip here. I'm going to use the anti-static bag on that. And I'm hoping, yes. So I want 2 sentiments for this. I'm going to use the Happy Birthday from the, is it Colin? From the Colin set. Some embossing powder. Do you know what? I was actually supposed to borrow Mum's one because I've lost mine. And I forgot to go over and get it. So I'm not actually going to show you, sorry, how I did this. Anyway, I'll talk you through it. So for the, yeah, I used the anti-static bag. I'm just trying to get the pin in that so I don't lose it. I inked it up in Versamark ink, and then embossed it with white embossing powder. It's the WOW one. I've actually just placed an order for some more. Like I said, because Mum also crafts, I was going to pop over to hers and pinch hers just before the live. And yeah, I completely forgot. So I do apologise about that. But I have already got the words already stamped out, if I haven't lost them in the chaos of my desk. So yeah, all I did is stamp it in the Versamark ink, sprinkle some white embossing powder over it, and then heat emboss it, and then cut them out. And I also did that with the How Old. Right, I'm going to pop this back. I found some of the words. Let's see if I can find the others. I'm hoping it's still sitting here somewhere. Right, where would it be? I'm just going through some of the mess on my desk. I said I am sorry. One day I will be a bit more organised. I've just spotted it. There we go. So I said I did have some white embossing powder. I did play about with Mum's one here, but she needed it back. So I took it back over to her last night and yeah, forgot to bring it back today. But yeah, so that's just embossed like I did with the clear embossing, but it's just white embossing powder on black card. And I've then just cut it out. Now, I've cut it out with scissors. I haven't even used the trimmer for this. I literally just snipped it. And I think you can see there, it's not even straight, but I'm not worried about that. It's quite a funky card. So I think you can sort of get away with it not being straight on this. So I'm going to go with Happy Birthday, How Old? And the cat's kind of looking up at the sentiment. You could sort of stick them down quite hickledy-pickledy, because again, it's quite a fun, funky card. They don't have to be straight. I'm just trying to figure out how I want them. Maybe like that. I'm going for quite on the wonk, really. And I'm just going to pop them down. Yeah, probably go about there. I can't believe I forgot to grab the embossing powder before the live. Never mind. So hopefully next time I'll have it at hand. So I have just ordered some. So I'm very good at losing stuff. I did have a pot of it somewhere, but I had a bit of a rearrange and I must have lost it when I rearranged my craft room. Anyway, never mind. At least I had some already stamped that I could put down. And then what you could do is grab a micron pen. Just looking for one in my pot. Hopefully I've pulled one out here that actually works. Again, I have just ordered another one, so, and I'm literally going to write Happy Birthday where these Christmas where it said Merry Christmas. And then I'm going to write here as well, because I don't think it matters if it's a bit quirky writing. So I've just written birthday on that as well, just to kind of cover it up a little bit more. But yeah, that's the completed card. I think all the stamps really work well together, because they're all quite fun, quirky stamps. And yeah, I do apologise about all the chaos from my demo. Well, we've had what? Losing things, dog barking, dropping things, falling off the desk, and couldn't get on to start with. So it has been a bit chaotic. I said, hopefully one day we'll get this right and it won't be such a mess. We'll see. But yeah, so yeah, if you haven't got some of this stuff, Laura has popped all the links in this. I don't know if they do actually still stay on there when the live has finished. If not, I will double check, and if they're not, I will pop some of the links in the comments, or in the, you know what, oh, what do you call it, like in the brief of what the live's about. I think you can pop the links in there. If I don't know, I'll have to have a bit of a fiddle because I'm not too up on YouTube at the moment. I might have to maybe get my son to give me a hand and figure out the best way of doing it. But I think last time I checked and all the comments had kind of disappeared. So yeah, I'll have another look. Love this. I think I preferred the layered balloon to the first card you did. Yeah, I actually quite like it overlapping. So this is what I did on the first one, just to show you the two different. And I was going to mount it then straight onto the background, which who knows where that's gone. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I was going to mount it onto black, and then I think I did have a black mount for that. Was that it? That was it. So it does look quite different actually, doesn't it? The two things. It's quite surprising just doing a small change like that, how different it sort of makes the card look. But yeah, I think actually I much prefer the overlapping balloon. It sort of all fits a little bit better, I think. So yeah, maybe it wasn't such a bad mistake. It was quite good the dog did distract me. But yeah, I mean, you can do it whatever way you'd like. You could still sort of add it on here, but it's entirely up to you. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. And as I said, in my complete chaos, I will, Joe's back next week, and I think she might be showing you some samples ahead of the show, because I don't know if you've all seen, but we are going to be on TV on the 15th. Well, I say we, Joe will be on TV, not we, but I mean like we as in that's Crafty. So Joe will be showing, I think, some samples next Monday. That will be on Facebook, not YouTube. So do check them out. I will be back again here. Should have checked the date, but it's in 2 weeks' time with another demo. I might, if I can get my hands on some MDF pieces, I might have a go at doing something a bit more complicated. I'm probably going to be a nervous wreck if I'm doing that, because it's something that I always get wrong. I'm not going to give too much away at the moment, but it will be something a little bit different. But yeah, anyway, do tune in sort of on Monday, and then again in 2 weeks' time. And I will post a picture of this card a little bit later. But thanks for joining me, and see you all again soon. Bye, everyone. I need to figure out how to end it now, so I think I'm going to have to pull the phone down and